Hey guys, welcome back to Real Housewives Recaps. Today I am so excited to be covering Bridgerton Season 1, Episode 5, The Duke and I. This episode! This was like the most infuriating episode until all of a sudden it wasn't. So let's get into it. So much happened this episode. I can't wait to talk about it. Okay, so the first picture is blurry because Daphne is rushing to change. Now, remember at the last episode, what was it? Anthony and the Duke were going to have a secret duel, and Daphne rushed in to save the Duke and her brother, and she got all muddy. So she had to rush back, change, jump into bed, pretend like she was sleeping. She pulled it off. Well, she comes out. She has some news. Do you remember? She's engaged. So Lady Bridgerton had overindulged last night. So she goes to tell her mom the wonderful news. Her mom thinks it's to the prince, and she says, "Nope, I'm engaged to the Duke. The Duke asked for my hand, and I accepted." Mom says she doesn't seem pleased. What's wrong? So the whole thing on this episode, and we're going to keep going into it, but this episode really ticked me off because, you guys. So this was the big one. This is where, everything was going down. We saw, I'm going to go ahead and talk about it. We saw them get married. This was the moment. She accepted her proposal, but the whole time was one big miscommunication. So instead of enjoying this time together, it was so awkward. She thought she had pressured him into marrying her to save her reputation, so she misread his feelings as, I don't want to do this, I don't want to get married. He thought he had basically pressured her into saving his life at the duel, and and also knowing that she really wants children and he's unable to give that to her, he thought he pressured her into it. So he's being all withdrawn and angry because he thinks it's his fault. So there's a huge miscommunication. You want so much for these two to just enjoy each other. This is what we've been waiting for. I understand that they had to have some difficulties to get there. I get it, but so frustrating until the end, and we will talk about the end. Okay, so I'm kind of breezing past stuff. So the Duke, the prince came over. He says he's sorry. He misread her, and she's like, no, let me tell you, it's the Duke. It's, we've always loved each other. We realize it. I'm sorry. All this. Okay, so after that, we're meeting in the park, so you expect that they'd be excited. They're engaged, and the Duke is basically still drunk. And Lady Danbury says, "Did you bring the bar with you, boy?" So it's just tough to watch because, again, this other couple stops him and is like, "Oh, you guys must be so excited." She goes to take his hand. He pulls it away. So, again, she's misreading it as being her fault. Meanwhile, there's this stuff going on with Anthony. He's looking for Sienna. He keeps jerking her around. It seems like he may be really falling for her, but they know that he can't really do much about it because he's had a household and he needs to marry a lady and, all the rules. So, oh God, this Featherington, she's the worst. Okay, so remember that Baron Featherington, Baroness found out that the Baron had spent all their money, gambling, no more money, not even dowry for the daughters. So now the dressmaker's refusing to give them any more dresses until the old bills are paid. So it's just building up. It's awful. So Penelope is jealous because Colin arrives for Marina. He has flowers for her, and Penelope decides to tell her mom this isn't a wise plan. Let's not involve Colin. So remember, the plan is Marina can try to marry Colin. They can do what they do really quick, and maybe he'll believe it's his baby, even though she's already a couple months along. So the staff is preparing for the Bridgerton wedding. Rose is going to be the future Duchess lady's maid. So the dressmaker is working on her dress. Mom says she'll need 5 night dresses. Daphne says, what for? And Mom's trying to explain this is a really special time. But poor Daphne is a nervous wreck, so she can't even enjoy this part, and that really bothered me. She looked beautiful. She can't even enjoy it. So Cressida arrives, and remember, she could have potentially, it sounds like, seen Daphne and the Duke in the garden making out, and that's a scandal. So that's kind of the reason they're rushing this. They're trying to get a quick license to get married. Well, so Daphne shoos her mother away, and Cressida and Daphne talk, and yep, she saw them, and she says Daphne entertained the prince to make the Duke jealous, and then lured him into the gardens, which is kind of what happened a little bit, but Daphne says, consider your words more carefully. In a few days, I will be a duchess, while you will remain unmarried and untitled. Woo! All right, let's talk about the queen. I love her. I just think she's such a good actress. She's doing a great job in this role. Such an interesting character. So she is thinking that Daphne and her nephew, Prince Frederick, are engaged. Nope. She read the society paper. It's not. She is engaged to the Duke, as she should be. So her nephew is going to go back to Prussia, and she's encouraged him to stay and fight. So, yeah. I have a whole new respect for this queen. We see it later, this scene with the king and what's really going on with him. You know, before I thought, oh, they just had a weird marriage. Because, like, when they come to tell her about your majesty, she says things like dead, and he goes, no, lucid. So she shoos him away. So I thought maybe they just had a crap marriage, but nope, it's so much worse. Ugh. Okay, so the Duke and Anthony meet at the church. The Archbishop is set to arrive. Anthony says they should discuss the dowry. Duke says he will not accept it. He says it's insulting to be paid to marry Daphne, and he assures him that I will take care of her for the rest of her life. Anthony apologizes for the duel. It's all good. Okay, so we find out that the Archbishop of Canterbury has denied the special license. They want a quick license so that way the scandal of them making out in the garden doesn't get out. So Daphne is shaken, and she's worried that Cressida or Whistledown might spill what happened. Well, Lady Danbury's like, this is the queen that's doing this, and gives them tips because apparently they're old friends. She says, do not lay it on thick. Tell her you're in love, plain and simple and true. And she says, do you think you guys can do that? And they both say yes. So that's apparently going to help them get the speedy license. So the other Bridgerton brother goes to the artist's house. They're having a party. All these women are dancing. I can't show too much here because there's a lot of nudity. Whatever, no problem. It's just, YouTube pictures rules. Okay. So basically he ends up seeing the dressmaker there, and she's like, oh, a Bridgerton, and they end up making out. Well, he's trying to find a room for them to go to have some privacy, and he walks in and he sees the artist with another man, and he makes eye contact with the artist, but he leaves. And then he ends up going to have a threesome with this dressmaker and another woman who will come into play later. Okay, so then we see the Duke. He's drunk out in front of the pub. Again, this whole time I'm thinking, oh my God, he doesn't want to marry her. He's mad at himself for going against what he said to his father, that he'll never marry. His friend says, is marrying this girl so bad? And he's like, no. Okay, so Baroness Portia comes in to Marina's room and says Rutledge will be dining with them on Saturday. Remember, he's the mean old man with the terrible teeth that's basically willing to take her on. Well, she brings up Colin, and she says she should... The Baroness Portia says she should cut Colin immediately, or she'll be locked in the room until she marries Rutledge. Marina says, wait. And comes up with this plan that she says, give me till Saturday, and if I have not secured a proposal from Colin, then I shall accept Rutledge with a smile on her face. She says she will seduce him. They'll sleep together. He'll think it's his kid. And Mom says, fine, you have till Saturday. Okay, back over to the Queen. So, this was rough. We see that the King, he's suffering from some sort of dementia, Alzheimer's. He's confused. He thinks, apparently they had a daughter that passed away from an illness years ago, and he thinks he's seen the daughter, and when she reminds him that she passed away, he thinks he's killed her, or he thinks she's killed the daughter. So they had to remind him and restrain him, basically. So it's so tragic. She seems to truly love him. We saw some happiness when he was lucid, but then, we see how awful the situation is. So the Duke wakes up, and there's a cute little kid over his head saying, "You smell bad." He's completely hungover. The Duke says if he has his wedding, he would like them to attend. So again, even the way he's talking, it's not very promising. The boxer's wife, Alice, is trying to get investors for expanding the boxing business. So I'm curious to see if this storyline will play out and how that's going to work. But anyway, so that's that scene right there. Then we're over to the Queen, who is visited by Lady Danbury. Daphne and Duke visit. Queen says she's heard a rumor that the license was denied, but I'm not sure what I can do about that. Okay, so this scene was so interesting because the Daphne starts talking. She starts saying exactly what she was told to say about they love each other so much and deeply flattered by the prince, but I was drawn to the Duke. It was love at first sight. Well, the Duke cuts her off and says, "It was not, Your Majesty. The young lady flatters me. It was not love at first sight. It was attraction." And I thought, oh God, is he going to ruin it for him? But no, he's like, romance was out of the question, and removing it all, we found something so much greater. We found friendship. We fooled everyone. For so long, we found we could not stay away from each other. And I've never enjoyed flirting or talking or chatting, but with Daphne, conversation has always been easy. And it took a prince coming along for me to realize I want her to be my wife. So I plead with you, please don't make us wait. So Daphne is completely shocked, and she's staring at him, and her eyes are filling with tears. And the Queen says they are very wise to realize a friendship is the best foundation to build a marriage on. So the Queen asks, "Do you wish to marry this man?" And she says yes. So shockingly, I thought it would be drawn. I thought, this is the start of that, and it would be drawn out. Nope. We go immediately from there to their wedding day. I thought this was the most beautiful venue. I love the flowers. I love Daphne's gown. I thought the prince looks gorgeous as always. The Duke, sorry. The Duke looks gorgeous as always and stunning. Weird to see a completely empty church, but it was just her family and his friend, as well, of course, is Lady Danbury. And oh man, so I just wanted this to be so sweet, and I thought maybe they would really connect to each other, but they kind of look terrified. They do make eye contact, and it gets a little more personal when he takes her hand, removes her glove, and puts a ring on her finger. They do make eye contact as they're pronounced man and wife, but then we cut away to the reception, and again, they're separate. They're not standing near each other. They're barely talking. It was kind of, I know it all leads up to the end, but it was just kind of hard to watch. It was not what you expect for this situation, They're finally getting married. The moment we've been waiting for. So we see this big reception, huge cake, lots of guests. Cressida says, "Enjoy your triumph, Your Grace." Whoa. Okay, so Penelope is pointing out men for Marina, and Marina's just looking for Colin. Penelope says, "You can choose anyone but him. He's my friend. I've known him forever. You must not do this to a good man." And Marina says she will be a good wife to him. And we find out, that mean man was a Rutledge, got engaged that morning. So, was it Baroness Portia got really pissed about that. So Colin's pretty much her only hope. So Marina finds Colin. She takes him to a room. She says, "We need to go somewhere more private." Penelope is completely stressing out. not into this plan at all. So they go into this private room. She gets him to close the door. She approaches. They stare at each other deeply, and they're just about to kiss, and Colin says they can't go any further. He says, "You're a lady. I must maintain your honor and mine, no matter how tempting this is." So she's obviously bummed because she really wanted to go ahead and get this done, so that way it would make sense why she's expecting. She says, "You're right. I am a lady. I'm unmarried, and you're a gentleman." He says, "Then marry me." And he says, "Let's marry by the end of the season." So again, this is not what's supposed to happen. She wanted him to get married right away, and he says, "No, the end of the season, we need to plan." And he says, let's not say anything today. It's my sister day. So they're going to wait to tell everybody. We see the Queen at the wedding. She says she hopes Daphne made a good choice, and the wedding night will be fun. So Daphne's nervous about that as well. Then we hear the end of a conversation where Eloise is asking if Lady Danbury is Whistledown. And she says, "When you do unmask her, please let me know who she is." Well, the Queen overhears this, and it completely grips her. She says, "What evidence have you gathered? Tell me everything you know." And Eloise starts. She says, "Well, I believe her a widow." And then we see the conversation fade. We see the artist with the Bridgerton brother. They talk about last night or the other night, and the artist says, "So the other night," and then the brother says, "I don't think anything happened," so the artist is relieved. Well, then Bridgerton is introduced to the artist's wife. That's the one he had the threesome with the dressmaker. Whoopsie. But apparently they don't seem to mind, so cool. So Daphne is nervous, right? She's staring across the room at the Duke. Anthony says that, since the Duke is not taking the dowry, he will put it in a trust so they can use it how she sees fit. And then he brings up, maybe for your future children. Well, this makes her upset, as this is the issue, and she runs up the steps and she runs into her room. Her mom comes in to check on her, and Mom says she's put off this conversation. And she says on her wedding day, she was apprehensive of the wedding night as well. And she says, "I know you and the Duke may have done some things already." And Mom says, "Things will happen that will involve you and your husband. And it's a marital act you may perform." And, Daphne is just so innocent. She doesn't know. She doesn't know what she means. And Mom says, "Listen, it's natural." She says, "Remember, there were 2 hounds that we had, and all of a sudden there were puppies." She says, "Oh, is the act just for children? What if we can't have children? Do we still perform this act?" So Rose knocks and ends up interrupting them, so we don't get to see how that conversation goes. Daphne's leaving. She's hugging her siblings. I love this outfit that she's wearing. The cape, the color, all of it is beautiful on her. She looks stunning. I don't love the bangs like that, but that's a side note. But everybody, she looks fantastic. She's saying goodbye to everybody. It was a sweet moment. She ends up giving Eloise her room, and she says they share the certainty that Eloise will make her way in this world. And I enjoyed seeing that. So she hugs her mom goodbye. She climbs in the carriage with the Duke, and they set off for their adventure. And the family is sad to see her go. So they get in the carriage, right? And it's just more silence. It's more awkward. They're still not really communicating. They each think the other one's mad and feels forced into it. He says they will reach the inn before nightfall, and she's shocked. She says, "We'll be spending our wedding night and in an inn?" So he has to explain, well, the roads aren't safe at night. We can't take the roads past the inn at nightfall, and she's just disappointed. Nothing's going how she thought it would be. So they arrive at this beautiful inn. Holy cow, gorgeous. Okay, so they are escorted to separate rooms. He says he requested separate rooms. And she says, okay, yes. But she's upset, and she's just not, neither one are communicating. So they're upset with each other. They each think The other one's upset with them, and they're both pacing around their rooms, and you can see it's building up to something, and he's upset and pacing as well. She is crying. She just makes up her mind she's going to leave her room. So we see her go to the door, and he's there. Whew. So he says we should go down for dinner. And she says, I don't want to go down for dinner. So they spent the last few days, she said she's just been waiting for them to be alone so they could talk. And she wants to know, like what's going on? And he says she's mistaken because she feels like he's just not into this. And he says he couldn't bear to witness the misery he caused her. She says she trapped him in the marriage, and he says, no, I trapped you. So he says he made her, or he was forcing her to make an unbelievable sacrifice, a life without children. And he knows she wanted a love match, and he's just worried she doesn't love him. Well, then things go from there. So it switches, and he says he can't stop thinking of her, and his thoughts of her never end. And he says, I am yours, Daphne. I've always been yours. And she's confused. And he says he's flushed and that he burns for her. Woo, such a good line. Okay, so I can't show much here. You can imagine what happens. It is very hot. And it's just all this buildup. They've been waiting forever, and it finally happens. It's amazing. We even get to see his rear, which is spectacular. And that's how the episode ends. She says she feels wonderful. I mean, if no other scene, go back and watch that because, yeah, you'll thank me. It's amazing. So good. That's how the episode ends. They finally hooked up. I'm so happy. I was so bummed by most of this episode until about the last 10 minutes, and then things got really good. Really good. Anyway, so I'm very curious to see how the rest of this honeymoon goes and their life together, and hopefully now they'll be on a happier page together and more communication, and such a good show. So, guys, thanks so much for watching. I'm loving recapping this. I'm loving watching it. I'm going to keep going because I'm really into it, and I hope you guys are too. So let me know your thoughts. If you've read the book, let me know that too, because I'm thinking about starting the book after I finish this. So if you liked it, let me know. If you didn't like it, let me know that too. But thank you guys for everything. I hope you have a fantastic week. Stay healthy, stay safe, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.